unplug it because it makes me hold it at a funny angle. Okay.
Okay.
Okie doke.
I think we will be live like in. Oh, looks like we live already. Okay, great.
Unplug it because it makes me hold it at a funny angle.
So,
Whoa.
hello everybody. My name is Dasha Timbush, and I'm a founder of CastingForm. And today we have this amazing live conversation with RAF Green, Emmy-Nominated producer and a writer, with whom we will be discussing today the keys of the casting of global actors worldwide, because RAF was involved in many projects that included very, very diverse casting in case of nationalities, in case of different languages. And he's a storyteller, and he's building up this story. So I was thinking it would be very interesting to all of us to see the different angle of the filmmaker, of the interaction of actor and the filmmakers in the production. So, hi, Raf. So happy to see you.
How are you? Thank you. Thank you for asking me. It's nice to be here.
Where are you?
Well, I am in Hawaii.
Wow.
I'm sorry to all of you who are locked down all over the world. But we are very lucky to be working on a show in Hawaii. So it's a pretty great place to run away from COVID.
Oh my God, that's such a roller coaster. But you're based in Los Angeles, right? In general.
That's right. Yes.
Oh,
in
I'm super jealous to you.
But everybody's jealous. I love it so much. I'm jealous of myself.
Oh, so did you have a chance to do some surfing, or it's locked? And
Yes, I have been surfing pretty much every day. I mean, the waves don't always cooperate, or I have to drive to a different side of the island. But yeah, I've been surfing a lot.
I think everybody knows who watching this live would like to be a writer and a producer because they feel like it's a fairy tale. But
it feels like a fairy tale.
Yeah, but actually, what's going on in LA? Is it positive, negative? I know that it was locked for a while and production.
Yeah, no, things have gotten very, very bad again in Los Angeles, and they're considering locking down again, and they're increased the restrictions. The case numbers have kind of, I think, doubled over the last week, and it's not good. The U.S. is not doing well, and even though California was doing better than a lot of places, they're having a big surge in cases.
And what in terms of production? What are you doing? Like you're relocating it, or like different countries?
I'm sorry. What do you mean? Why am I in Hawaii?
No. I was saying like what in general producers do. Are they relocating their production out of the United States, like UK, Europe, or what's the trend? What you see?
Maybe a little bit of that. You know, there were places like Atlanta that started up to some degree. LA started up production. I know New York is doing production now. So a lot of the traditional places in the United States have opened up for production. But, you know, as you probably know, there's a lot of restrictions because of COVID. So there's not nearly as many shows in production. It requires a lot of extra financing to test everybody so frequently and have you know, a lot fewer days when you're shooting on location, a lot more use of sets. Originally, the productions were all looking, can we go to Czech Republic? Can we go to Ireland? Can we go to Canada? But, you know, all those places have ended up having problems, and you know, an actor tests positive and everything gets shut down. So it's a very difficult time. But you know, up until the middle of the summer, nothing was happening in the US, and production has restarted.
Okay. What do you think? Like, what's your predictions? It will continue like this, and what do you do as a producer to solve this? Like, what do you think about it?
Well, I can't answer with too much expertise because, during this period, I've been sort of on the development and writing side, and even the show that we're working on now. We're sort of consultants to a show that's being going to be made in Korea. So, uh, we were going to try to go to Korea to work on that show, but we couldn't really get. We
No
could get
information.
in, but
Information.
yeah,
Like, I didn't ask you anything. It's all fine. Okay.
yeah. But
Um,
I'm sorry. I just feel like I'm not answering the question very well. So I don't have any hands-on experience of doing production. I have a bunch of friends who have started. But I think, like with all things, people are going to get better at it. And hopefully with the vaccine coming pretty soon, things will get better. I hope soon. I hope by summer it'll be back to normal.
oh, yeah,
Fingers
we hope.
crossed.
Yes.
Shaka.
Yeah. Shaka. Great. So let's get back to the main whole point because we kind of I jumped and I took you with me, but let's get back to the beginning. Um, so in the last 7 days, I just got the analytics last night, and we got users authenticated in our mobile app from 108 countries. Can you imagine?
Amazing.
It's
That's congratulations. That's
oh,
amazing.
thank you very much. So today we have users from the biggest film industries in the world, like Indian Bollywood, Nigerian Nollywood, and these areas are growing. I'm just thinking that the people who will be watching us, they're not very, insiders of the United States in like Hollywood productions, especially. So I just want to start with very, very basic things, like, for example, like if we just met with you, so how would you introduce yourself in like in the simple words, because we see that you're a writer, producer. We even find that you have the actors credit in your filmography. So how does it all
I
work?
have. I have. I did the art for a movie. I've done all sorts of things. Music. Well, I was a kid actor, and then I studied acting in college, and I was an actor after college, and I got I was very idealistic at the time and got very precious about it and wanted more control. So I decided to start a rock band so I would be the boss.
Wow, yeah.
So I went from actor to having a band for about 10 years. And I won't tell the whole story, but
Sure, sure.
crazy things, one thing led to another. Um, and the next thing you know, I was writing on a TV show. I mean, I'd always written stuff. A lot of in college, I got out of writing papers by writing plays, so it wasn't completely a complete 180-degree turn, but it was pretty unexpected. And uh, so I've been doing that for over 20 years now, and it's an amazing job, and I love it. I feel very fortunate that I accidentally became a TV writer and producer. But I spent my whole life doing in this business in one form or another. uh, just never intended to be the guy writing the scripts. But it's amazing, and I love it because it's a collaborative process. And I love, in Hollywood, the way um, the business works is that the writers are also producers. Um, at least as you start to move up um, have more experience in your credits. So the executive producer, who's the showrunner of a TV show, is usually the head writer. So that means we're making all the decisions that a executive producer would make. It's sort of like different. In film, the director is the king, is the god, and in TV, the writer, executive producer takes that role. And I think it makes a lot of sense, actually, because uh, a, a director is only going to be doing one episode of a TV show, or maybe they'll come back during a season and do more than one. A director in a movie is just doing that one movie, but when you're doing a TV show, you have these multiple um, episodes, and these, especially now with serialized shows, these long stories to keep track of. So it wouldn't really make sense for a director to be running everything, because they can't focus on a story that lasts, maybe 8 hours, 10 hours, and then goes on for multiple seasons. So I think it's actually a pretty smart system. And and for those of us who are lucky enough to do it, it's the most fun thing in the world, because, I love writing, but I love all aspects of creating these shows with all these talented people, with actors, with directors, with, um, all the designers and the makeup people and the hair people. And there's just so many amazing creative people that work in this business. And as a writer producer, you get to interact closely with all of them.
That's great answer. You like incorporated a lot of things that I wanted to ask you, which is great. So one little thing I would like to ask you, is it actually, the difference between producer, executive producer, co-producer, and how all you guys differ from each other? And I also know that there is a difference between film and TV production,
Yeah.
because, so can you just give us a little bit?
Well, the term producer is one of the most loosely defined words of all time.
Exactly.
So it can mean many, many different things. So, for example, many shows and movies have lots of executive producers, most of whom, to put it nicely, do nothing at all. And they are credited as that because their company is somehow involved in finding a property, in connecting one company to another company. I mean, there can be a very small amount of work to get a very impressive title.
And this is for the films, production of the movies.
It's for film, but it also applies to television.
Mhm.
I would say almost every TV show I've been involved in has had executive producers who I wouldn't say have done nothing, but have been relatively peripherally involved.
Mhm.
They're often executives of production companies will often get that title, and other people too. So and same goes for producer, particularly on movies. I think, if you raise money, for example, you'll often get a producer credit.
Mhm.
Um, but then there are the people who who
When
actually do what I consider the job of producer, which, to me, the job of producer is you create the material, you cast the roles, you choose the people who are going to work in the different departments and head the different departments. You're on set to help those people coordinate between all the different departments and to make sure that they're understanding the material and all that stuff. You do the legal stuff, like on Picasso. I spent half my time doing negotiating to get rights to painting. So all of that fun stuff of actually making the show happen, that also is the producer role. And that's what I love. I love that part of the job. Uh, so executive producer can mean a lot of things.
Mhm.
But if we just go up in the TV writing business, there is a very sort of specific meaning to the different titles. And basically, every title other than executive producer and co-executive producer typically means you make less money. But so the writers the writers titles go basically when you first staff your first job, you would be a staff writer.
Mm-hmm.
Then your next season, if the show survived and you got kept on and promoted, you would be a story editor. If you lasted another season, you would be an executive story editor. If you lasted another season, and I've never been on a show that lasted that many seasons, you would be a co-producer. Then you'd become a producer. Then you'd become a supervising producer. Then you'd become a co-executive producer. And finally, you'd become an executive producer. So as part of it is just tracking your evolution as an experienced writer and what your agent can negotiate for you when you land on a new show. But in terms of the...
Sorry to interrupt. And when we met with you, when you were producing the Genius Picasso series that you got nominated for Emmys, what was your title there?
I was a co-executive producer on
so
that.
Meaning that you made all these steps.
Yeah. Well, and then on the next Genius, I was the executive producer. Unfortunately, no, Mary Shelley, we never made that. But the interesting thing is, going all the way back, just at a, I guess, producer level on a show called Legends, I was still, I basically co-created that show and I basically co-ran that show. So sometimes your title will be lower than what you're actually doing on the show. And sometimes your title will be higher than what you're actually doing on the show. So, but everything sort of in that producer, co-executive producer, executive producer realm, you're probably on most TV shows doing a lot of production stuff as well as writing.
Oh, I see. Can you tell me, like, among all these amazing things, so my first question to you were like, when you first meet the person, how you introduce yourself? You say you're a writer or you're a producer? How is it for you personally? So who you feel you are?
I don't know. Lately, I say I'm Goofy Foot Surfer.
Me too. Hi, give five.
I don't know. I'm not very good at that part of this business at giving my, I hope that people will look at my IMDb or that my agent will have told them so that I don't have to do that part. In general, when I'm looking for work, because this is a business where you're always looking for work, I'm going out as a writer. That's sort of my entree into this world, is that I know, how to write scripts and run a show and create a story and run a writer's room. And I have experience doing all of those things. So I'm sort of going into these meetings with people knowing that have that experience. And it's like any business. People know what they're looking for. So you're not going to get the meetings unless you're qualified, for those kind of jobs. So I'm, after all these years, 20 something years in the business, I'm at the level where when people meet with me, they're looking for a showrunner or they're looking for a co-showrunner. And that's awesome.
Oh, this is amazing, actually. You mentioned one thing. You said your agent will arrange the meeting. So you have an agent too, or manager?
I do.
Or who?
I have both. I have an agent, a manager, a lawyer.
Great. So this is a great topic. Could you please elaborate on this? So how your team look like? And I guess this is an agent for you as a writer, right? Or is a
Yeah,
producer you
well,
have to have it?
as a writer producer,
Oh,
basically, there's a job, right? And the job is writer producer. So you're not really just a writer in the television business unless you're very low level, or not very low level, but low to mid level. Then you're really just going for jobs as a writer. Or in screenwriting, you really can be just a writer. Typically, you are just a writer. But in TV, the jobs that I'm looking for are going to be asking me to do both aspects of the job, which I love, and I'm grateful that that's how it works. So my agent is looking for those kind of positions for me. So, my agent's not going to put me up for a staff writing job because I'm 20 something years past that.
but what your manager does for you? How it works?
You
I mean,
know,
the reason I'm
I
asking,
think we're
nobody
all a
knows the
little bit,
difference out of the US.
yeah, it's a little confusing. Basically, I think of it this way. I have a team of people that I work with, and they're people I love, and I've worked with them for a long time, particularly my manager and my lawyer. Um, and different people have different connections and different abilities to uh, find opportunities for you. So I don't find that what my agent does and what my manager does are that different from each other. Typically, my manager is looking more for me to develop my own show and trying to pursue those opportunities. And my agent is probably looking more for staffing, other opportunities on existing shows. But that
Everything is connected.
it blurs very much, and they talk to each other and they try to coordinate, and uh so it's a big expense, right? They both take 10% of what I make, and my lawyer takes 5%, so I'm giving 25% of my income away.
And
Not giving it
tax,
away. You, you,
tax.
they're certainly working hard for it, but I feel it's worth it. I'm not a good business person, and the other thing that they do, and particularly my agent and lawyer do this, is when I get a job, they negotiate for me. So you know, they get me better terms, they get me more money, they're able to be the bad guys when I don't want to be, and that can be true even during a job. That if there's problems, they can try to step in and help me resolve those.
Yeah, and I mean this something that I was amused. Like if you can imagine this, the first time I've ever been to LA, it's been December of 2014. So like 6 years ago, it was just my first time ever. I came like a little girl, like bling bling. Oh, guys, who is there? Who are agents? Who's what? And then that was the first time that I actually realized that I didn't know who I am. I was calling myself talent representative because when I was coming to LA, I did my homework, and I realized that there is a difference, and I don't know what is it. And I was saying I'm a talent rep for an actor, a very famous one, and from my country. And when I realized for myself that for actors, I think the agents more focused on like a distribution, exactly what you say, like staffing and finding jobs. And for me as a manager, I think personally what I do and how I deal from agents, this is exactly the career development of the talent I work with. Like the main goals, like, I don't know, I want to get an Oscars and I need to think about the events I need
Yeah.
to orchestrate in order for this to happen. And I'm really grateful that we came up to this topic. It wasn't planned, but I think this is something very insightful for me. And I'm
Yeah,
happy.
I think that for writers, it's the same idea. But you know, I talk to honestly, I talk to my agent about that stuff, and sometimes I talk to my manager about staffing. So, you know, I do think that that's sort of the
Yeah.
general idea is that the manager guides the bigger picture, and the agent just tries to find you work and get you more money. But you know,
I
you
love
get
that
to be
you
an
make it
old man like me
distinct.
and you realize people are people, right? And so these are really about relationships. And are these people you want to work with? Are they smart? Do they care about you? Do you care about them? And can you be in a collaborative process? And if you're just being human beings, you're not going to be robots about, you know, I'm going to stay in my lane. And if my lawyer heard of an opportunity for me, he would let me know too.
Of course.
So uh, but I think, yeah, in a very generalized way, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Managers, big picture agents get you the job.
Okay. Let's move uh, to how we met and
Sure.
how we know each other. That's been amazing experience for me. I remember that actually in the end of 2016, I moved to US. I mean, not the US. I've been living in US already, but to LA. And I decided to, you know, to explore the ways how I can do my job as a talent manager more effectively, because I understood in a couple of years of working with actors before I was managing musicians and athletes, I realized there are the industry is so closed. I mean, the very, very uh, networking effect is really important, that you have to know people. The people from out of the network can't really get in. And I was doing like, I mean, I basically was Googling to try to find the way how to book a job for the actor I work with who is not from the United States. And that moment, the fall of 2017, I gave myself a task. Basically, I need to spend like time in LA to dig into the industry and come up with a solution how I would do my job more effectively, how I can help more actors. Because this is the only way to actually do the business. Because when, as a manager, and you have a more personal level of working with a talent, you can manage, I don't know, one, two, three, five people. And sometimes you're very dependent on their job, or like the situations like COVID. And if they don't have anything, you basically, as a manager, you have nothing, because everybody's stuck at home. And I was thinking, okay, how I can change the situation. And I came up with the idea of the casting form, and I was living at that moment in the garage. I was renting it in a backyard in Larchmont. So my landlord, she was rebuilding her garage to the studio, and I was living there. And basically, at one morning, I woke up and like, okay, I haven't like, I don't know, 5,000 emails of actors asking me, oh, I would like to work with you, and could you please somehow connect to me or think about me when you have requests. And I was thinking, okay, if I just create the platform, whatever, I don't know, website or mobile app or something else, where I will put all these actors, I kind of communicate with them, verify if they're like really worth it, I'll just put them there. And when I'm in contact with filmmakers, I'll just send the link. And it was so easy, and I was sure that something like this exists already. And like my network was super diverse, super different background of actors. And I started to exploring this idea. And I came started asking casting directors, so what if you have the service where you can come and find any actor from any country in the world who speaks English and can work in English and ready to go to the production set tomorrow. Would you use this? I'm not going to say the names because I don't have a permission, but very, very influential people in casting industry were saying like, oh, you know, Dash, you have a very good fantasy, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen because, you know, it's impossible. And I was saying like, okay, if it's possible, would you use this? And the answer was, of course I would, because like we all need this. We need actors. We work internationally, we work globally. And for us to find the needle in a haystack, it's impossible. To find the actors in far lands, being in LA without contacts in that particular country, it's almost impossible. And that's how I started developing the project. And coming to the cast and director of Genius Picasso. Um, I was pitching basically casting directors and was asking there for the feedback if you think it's going to work or not. And I was lucky enough of Rose Wicksteed, incredible casting director from London, who said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a try. Let's see what you can do." Because I mean, you look so young and naive or whatever, but it sounds interesting and promising. We have this challenge. We need to find an actress who I'll try to remember what she said, like in the pitch, like the Russian actress who also a ballerina, speaks perfect English, and has papers. Uh, and I'm like, okay, how much time I have? And it was the end of December. So it was something about the Christmas, or maybe the beginning of December. She told me that, but you know, in December we have half of December because you know, like nobody actually working afterwards. And I mean, I did impossible things. I was flying from LA to St. Petersburg to self-tape myself, Diana Vishneva, the prima of the Russian ballet, who's a world-known. And Diana, I'm sorry I mentioned you without asking. I hope you don't mind, but it was incredible self-tape. And we cast almost everybody in Russia through my, let's say, algorithm, through my hypothesis in the way how I think the best fit will be for this part. And finally, Rose said, okay, maybe ballerina it's too much. Let's just focus on the actresses, like the professional actresses who are like flexible or did some yoga or whatever. Maybe we can find a stunt person to replace her or whatever. And then we start developing the professional actresses of different age and experience, because we didn't want to limit myself, because my hypothesis was that unknown actors are in the same position as the known actors, because out of the country where this person are superstars, nobody actually knows them. So for the casting director who is not familiar with like a story of the country and who is who, everybody looks the same. This is the same self-tapes, and the only thing that stands out is the talent, obviously. And if this person is organic and you know, if it's a good fit. And then we saw the tape of you know, 10 girls. I thought it's kind of maybe the final, and I sent it to Rose, and I think very shortly she called me and I said like, I think we found her. And I'm like, okay. And then different events started happening, and it was a new year, everything was freeze for a while, and then in the beginning of January she called me and said like, could you please send me her CV? And I was like there is no CV really, because she like her story was that she started acting as an adult. She was an environmental scientist on her first education, and I was amazed by that fact. And I think actors to your record. It's very, very cool when you have a side experience and a side education, because all your characters becomes even more layered. But uh, I was saying that this lady, this actress, it was just her dream, and in addition to that, from her childhood, she also wanted to be a ballerina. So everything just clicked and worked perfectly, because even she wasn't doing the ballet professionally, she was just going to ballet as a, fitness. And I remember I said, Rose, I will fly with her to the production, because, but I'll guarantee you that she will do this job, because I really want to make this precedent, that the actress without like the huge track record of the jobs, she never did the job in English before that, and she was casted to play opposite Antonio Banderas, the wife of Picasso, Russian ballerina Olga Koklova. So that was incredible. So that's how we met with you, Raf, because I came on set, and my first question is, that often that actors come on set with talent representatives, or only when it's problems?
I think you might be the only one ever, but you know, that was great, and it was great to meet you. And um,
How was your experience? Were you involved in the casting process, or uh, who was Rose? Or maybe it's better to ask her. Uh, who, uh, who she was persuading to take this
she
risk.
she was persuading me and Ken and the director of the first episode that your actress was in. So and Rose is just another example of how this is a business full of people. She's a wonderful lady, and this is all about relationships. And Rose actually had never really cast anything of significance until she worked with us on a show called Legends. And she did such an amazing job. That had a very international cast too, that we just kept wanting to work with her. So she was a little bit like, I know we're not saying the name of the actress, but a little bit like the same story casting director wise as um, the wonderful actress who played Olga Picasso. So what would happen is Rose, we would send as the writer producers, we send Rose a list of the people we're trying to cast, and we have a character description, and it says ages. An interesting thing about Genius is that in many cases, these people are playing different, very broadly different ages. Like amazingly, with the actress who played Olga, her first scene with Antonio, she was playing an old lady. She was playing someone, I don't know,
70.
40 years older than she actually is, and
I
she was
remember.
amazing.
I remember, just sorry as a side note, because I was with her all over, and she was doing the prosthetics. This is the makeup that, like to put things here. She was changed. I don't think she was 40. She looked like 70, and
Yeah.
it was like,
No, I'm saying she was 40 years older than she
oh
really
yeah, yeah, yeah,
is,
yeah,
right? If
yeah,
she's
exactly,
30
exactly,
years old, she was playing 70 years old. I
yeah.
mean, there's another example. Our makeup person is a genius, absolute genius. But anyway, as you remember, she did her very first scene that she'd ever done in front of real television cameras, opposite Antonio Banderas. And after the first take, I don't know if I can say this on TV, but he jumped up and he said, "You're fucking great." And it was so wonderful. And as a producer who's trying to make the best show possible, we were nervous, because we were taking a chance with her. And what an amazing thing for her, for Antonio, for all of us, that she just was absolutely wonderful,
Yeah.
and she stayed wonderful uh, every day of the shoot. So anyway, going back, so with Rose, we write up what a brief description of uh, who we're trying to cast, age, you know, ethnicity, male, female, you know, whatever it is we know. In the case of a historical drama, we might know a little more specifics than being more open on a fictional thing. And then Rose contacts actors that she knows or people, other agents and people like you, and um, all those people either audition for her in her office in London and she puts them on tape, or they put themselves on tape from all over the world, whether it's, you know, in Russia or Czech Republic or America or, you know, Spain, wherever they are. And that's a really cool thing about the casting process now, is that, you know, all you need is hit record on your iPhone and you can get a job.
Exactly.
You
That's
know, it's
something. That is
it's
something I was
amazing.
also amazed, and I just realized that all this like mystery about how to get to Hollywood is so difficult. It's so impossible. And the fact it's very easy. And the one other example, last year we were helping HBO on their casting needs on the TV show industry, which is live now. And they just told me, okay, we're about to cut one role from the script because we just can't find the actor. It takes too long. Just, okay, you have 24 hours who you can find. And like in a day or maybe two, we send them about like 20, 30 actors, and they immediately picked one. And like the guy who booked the job, Felix Stickman, he's an incredible actor from Austria. He never worked out of Austria before. This is exactly the same situation, and it was his first production in UK. So I'm really, really thankful for you, Raf, for giving me personally this chance, because you didn't know me, but by accepting the suggestion, and I'm thankful to Rose and the whole team. And for me, working with you on the Genius Picasso was a life-changing experience, because I realized that it doesn't matter if the actor known or unknown. The only thing that matters that the actor fits the character, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, in
There are other
sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. But really, you know, like to as everybody probably knows, to get shows and movies made, you typically want to attach somebody famous. So it really helps to get Jeffrey Rush to play Einstein and Antonio Banderas to play Picasso. So there is a thing about being known and having star power, but particularly once you've uh, got a few people like that you really are confident in, either because they're famous or because you've worked with them before, then you can start filling out those other roles with a little more risk taking, where you're really trying to find just the right person. And, you know, I think for everybody out there who's an actor, um, the next most important thing besides getting the job is when you show up, you do a great job, you know. And so we find ourselves over and over again falling in love with the people that we work with, as people and as actors. And if you're a great actor and you're great to work with, we're going to really want to work with you again, you know. So every time we go make a show, we're thinking, oh my gosh, is there a part for Aisling Franciosi, because she's amazing and we love her, and every time we put her in something, you know, she's incredible.
yeah.
And so you even start thinking in your head when you're writing stuff, oh, can you, you know, that's who I'm writing it for. And so actors are, to me, you cannot make a good movie or a good TV show without great actors. If you don't have great actors, you don't have a great show. And So we as writer producers really care. That is a very important part of it to us. For me personally, I think it's probably, your cinematographer, your director of photography, and your actors are, to me, even more important than your scripts. Because if you don't have great pictures and great acting, it doesn't matter what's in the scripts. Yeah, for
That's
me anyway.
absolutely fantastic feedback. Uh, we are having like a little bit of time left, maybe 10 minutes. And I was looking while we were talking for some questions we have from the audience. I'm going to ask them. Before we come to the questions, could you elaborate a little bit on the procedure of the casting in terms of being a writer and directors? Sorry, producer. We are not speaking now about the lead cast, where obviously you are involved and you making the decisions. But like when it comes like for the supporting role and episodes, how big is your involvement? And it's like in particular situation with the actors we were talking about, how was your involvement in the casting? Were you actually seeing all casting?
Yeah, well, on on all these shows, I'm typically involved in seeing the tapes of most of the roles. As you mentioned, this particular actress was cast in December when I was in Budapest working on other episodes. So the way it typically works on a TV show is that uh, your recurring roles that are going to start in the pilot and go to some degree through the whole season, we're all going to be there casting, looking at tapes, having people come in and read and stuff like that. As you start to cast roles that appear later in the episode, it becomes harder to be there for everything. And that's also a place where episodically the director of the episode tends to have more input, and that's even true. Um, on the pilot, for example, on Einstein, Ron Howard directed the pilot. So guess what? We let Ron make a lot of those decisions, and I was less involved in casting Einstein because Ron Howard was, not only executive producer, but he was directing. Uh, with the actress you're talking about, I did see tapes and I was involved in talking about it. I was less involved because I was on set um, on working on, I think, episodes 3 and 4 at the time.
Like
So
the reason I'm asking this, because I know that this is like a myth, then actors like desperately trying to get in touch with producers and directors and thinks that this will guarantee them roles in a way, because I know so many examples that you can be friend with a really really good actor, but he never will be in your like production. So how is it for you?
I don't think people want to hear this, but uh, if we try to be nice to our friends and people we like, and so if I meet somebody who's an actor, or I have a friend who's an actor, and they tell me, "Oh my gosh, you're working on that show. Do you think you could help me get an audition?" I will usually try to get them an audition. That doesn't mean that I can guarantee they're going to get a role, but I mean, again, it just goes back to we're all human beings. There's no super big mystery about it. You don't make it into like, Wizard of Oz behind the curtain making magical things happen. It's, we have cast lots of our friends over the years. And we have made friends with actors we've worked with. And as I said, we want to keep working with them if they're good actors and if they're fun to work with. And certainly there have been times when someone has asked me for an audition and it's worked out well. And there's been plenty of times when it hasn't worked out as a job. And, casting is so complicated. There's, you have to have the right look and you have to be the right age and you have to, it's not just about your talent, but certainly it, be doing a great tape where we go, oh my God, that person's great to watch. That is huge. That is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's what.
And we will even say maybe they don't have to be, short and bald. Maybe we can do a tall, person with long hair just because that audition was so great. So
Mhm.
it is possible, based on just a great audition, to blow people away and get a role.
That's super great. Okay, coming to the questions, I have my personal question because, I'm today I'm a tech founder, a tech startup founder called CastingForm, as you know. My question to you: would you recommend any services? I don't know, websites, online platforms, or you heard of them, or you use them as a producer to find, or actually, do you use the technology to find actors? This is the question.
I don't, but I depend on people like Rose, who I know do. So, um,
Because just one of the questions was from actor, would you recommend any services or platform like backstage for foreign actors? I don't know if you even know about them, so do you tell me if.
well, I vaguely know about different casting websites that because I've had, you know, lots of actor friends and actors in my life. And I think
Something to
they're all,
recommend?
anything where you're being proactive and going to look for work can be great. I mean, I was dating a woman last year who would just go on those casting websites, and she got herself a couple little roles, and now she's a TV hostess in Buffalo, New York. On a
Wow.
morning show every day. So, and she got that through the internet. And I myself got a great writing job once on Craigslist. So, you can use any of these services, and you never know where stuff is going to pop up. But I can certainly say that what you do, Daria, I know has been super effective. We ended up, how many people did we cast
Two.
through you? Two,
Two
two on
actors for this
Picasso.
project, yes. For Picasso, we did
I mean,
two.
that's pretty huge, right? I mean, one's not bad. The fact that you found us two great actors is amazing. So, you know, in my own personal experience, I don't know anybody else doing stuff like this, but I do think that it's a totally valid way of being proactive and finding work for yourself.
Mhm. Another question we have, what do you think? Is it possible to build a career if for an actor if you are not? But I don't know if it's actress. I think it's actress. So the question is it possible to build a career if you are not from the English speaking country?
Yeah, I think it totally is. I mean, you know, I think the world is changing very fast. Right now I'm working on a South Korean show for a big streamer. The show is going to be in Korean. I have lots of Zoom meetings where I don't understand most of what's being said because it's in Korean, right? Uh, uh, the last three shows that I've been on set producing were filmed in Europe, and we had Russian speaking actors, Czech speaking actors, French speaking actors, Spanish speaking actors. In most cases, because we were making an English show, those people were speaking in English, but not always. When we did Legends, people spoke Russian and Czech and even tried to do Chechen. Um, so, uh, but if you turn on Netflix now, if you turn on Amazon or any of these streamers, they've got a lot of content that they're showing around the world that's not in English. And people are getting used to reading subtitles in America. I know they're used to it all over the rest of the world. And I think that the the TV and film business is becoming more international and less English centric uh, as every day.
Raf, I would love to talk with you more, but I can't steal your time because I know it's night in Hawaii and you want to sleep
I
and you need
have
to
to
work.
sleep so I can surf in the morning.
Oh, yes, exactly. 5 a.m. What time you start?
Oh, yeah, where people aren't so aggro about it here.
So just one
It's
little
always good.
question for you to wrap everything up.
Yeah.
That was the real blessing to talk to you. And uh, we started from that you started your career as an actor. And today you are the writer and the producer, and you're in charge actually of who's picking the actors. So my question to you is is it like this all the time? Is it that you start in one point and finish in another, and as a filmmaker you have to be in charge of like everything, or you just wait for the audition? What would be your advice for actors of any age, any country, any working experience, whatever stage of their career they are? If you are an actor, what would you do to explore your career today in today's reality?
You know, back when I was acting, when I was in college and getting a degree in acting, the last year in college, we had to do a project where we uh, interviewed a working actor. And I had been a stage manager on a show with this wonderful Tony Award winning actor, John McMartin. He was also in a
Wow.
lot of movies, a wonderful actor. And so I talked to John, and John said, if you want to be an actor, I have one rule, and that is never turn down a job. He said, if you're an actor, you work. And and that was really why I stopped being an actor, is because I there were lots of jobs I didn't want to do. And I see now that I that was very uh, idealistic of me and not very practical, and I had developed these skills for my whole life at the time. And sometimes I wonder if I made the right decision, but it worked out fine. I love my job, but I think that John was right that one job begets another, and even if it's not the most amazing role, or you don't think the script is so great or whatever, you're just doing a job. An actor is someone who works hard. So that's the first thing. Take the job. The second is, I don't know any business where people work harder than the entertainment business. So when you show up on set, you better be ready to go. Know your lines. Be ready to step in front of the camera and and knock it out. And it goes very fast. Acting's particularly screen and TV acting. It's a funny job. You walk in, you do your lines, and you go away because they have to move on to the next scene. So it's a business where you want to be really professional and hardworking and have a good attitude, and that will go a really long way with the um, uh, making a good impression on the people who can give you more work in the future.
Thank you. And you just brought me one, I hope the last question. Uh, do you regret that you flipped? You said that everything worked well, but if you would offered the role now as an actor and you love the script, would you accept this and act again?
Oh my God. I feel like it would be like trying to surf a big wave after not surfing for 30 years. Like, I'm not sure I would even be able to do it. And I've been around so many incredible actors and I'm sort of in awe of them. Like sometimes, uh, you know, people I work with will laugh at me that I get so enamored of just being on set and watching somebody like Antonio or Clemence Posey. I mean, I would just watch them do scenes and be like, "Oh my God, they're amazing." And I don't feel like I could do that. I mean, maybe if I practiced, and it's a craft, right? You have to be in practice. I'm surfing a lot better now that I've surfed every single day, for hours every day, and acting and writing and everything is like that. It's a craft. So if you put a camera now on me, I'd be terrible. So
For this reason, on CastingForm, we have a CastingForm acting challenge that every actor when stuck at home can practice. So I call it myself as a gym for actors, because like you
perfect.
have to train your acting muscle. That's exactly what you said. And maybe you have to have an account in CastingForm as an actor. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the woman that we cast as Olga Picasso. Even though she had never been in a TV show, she had tons of practice. She trained as an actress in both the U.S. and in Russia. She went to classes all the time, so she was very, very well prepared. She just didn't have the actual screen job experience. She'd done on camera training, so she was ready for the big time because she'd prepared herself.
And I think this is the main thing we will wrap up here. You have to be ready as an actor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Raf.
It's
I'm
a great pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on your awesome company. It's really impressive and cool.
Thank you. Thank you. We hope that we will be in help of your casting needs, of your production, of your casting directors. So CastingForm is a great way to cast international actors. And I don't like actually to call it international actors because I think everything is global today. And if you need us, you can find us any day, anytime. Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time. I hope this live
Wonderful talking to you.